Hey there! Welcome back to another episode of another episode of Meerkats From Mars. Those of you that stuck around for the end of the previous video will have caught a glimpse of the centerpiece of this railway town, the Chateau Niagara Hotel. Let me give you a bit of context. You see, I live in Canada, home to the North Pole, Tim Hortons, and the Java programming language. But Canada's also home to dozens of Grand Canadian railway hotels. About 100 years ago, railway companies wanted to boost ticket sales, so they built a bunch of huge castle-like buildings all across the country for their passengers to stay in. Their plan worked. I mean, who'd pass on the opportunity to witness beautiful new landscapes and, best of all, live like royalty? One room in particular I'd like to draw your attention to is the Empress Cafe. You're looking at the first and only Minecraft build in history, with a fully functioning piano! Nope, not that one. This one. The way it works is when people book a reservation, I serenade them on my real-life piano over proximity chat. We've actually had quite a few takers already. Am I overcommitting to the theme? Almost definitely. But I can't call this place a Grand Canadian Railway Hotel if our guests aren't living like royalty. Admittedly, there's one or two roof leaks to patch up, plenty more interiors to build, and a serious amount of landscaping. And I'm excited to work on those throughout the coming episodes. But we don't have time for any of that today, because Zoe's just popped over to remind me it's nearly Easter. That magical time of the year when for some reason, bunnies start laying eggs. Zoe has actually set up an Easter egg decorating competition on an island somewhere out to the east. So we're gonna go make an entry. I've got an idea in mind, but before we can start building it, I need to pop over to the shops to pick up one or two materials. So let's go to the mall today! And we're here! Boy, that trip took way less time than last episode. Anywho, while we're here, I might as well see how my shops are doing. Yes! Ooh! Ooh! Oh. My God. Okay, this is genuinely the best my shops have ever done. While we're on the topic of metaphorical Easter eggs, I should point out there's actually one in all my shops. Each one is named after the advancement you're able to get in it. For example, if you want to get Sticky Situation, you can slide down these honey blocks. And to get a seedy place, you can harvest and replant this wheat. Alright, now that it turns out I'm super rich, let's go spend it all next door at Frost's shop. Okay, I'll get two stacks. Should I get 3? No. You know what? Let's be a good citizen and support a local business. Okay, I think we've got everything we need now. Let's head over. Well, I think it's safe to say we found Easter Island. Ooh. Oh my goodness. These are huge! I was not expecting people to go all out on these. This is amazing. Alright, well my plan for the egg we're building today is to model it after one of the eggs from the game. Chicken eggs might not be super interesting, and it looks like someone's already done turtle eggs. I feel like there's one more I'm forgetting. Ah! Oh yeah, dragons. Now, technically, only one dragon per world ever lays an egg, and that one's being stored safely under the community castle, so we're gonna have to build a replica and maybe dress it up a little. Before we do that though, I want to give a bit of thought to the colors I'm gonna use in today's build. Brace yourself, because we are about to overthink the heck out of this. To the color wheel! Alright, I prepared a quick step-by-step tutorial on creating block palettes for builds, but first I want to quickly mention the #1 rule. Trust your own judgment. You don't need to be a Grammy-winning musician to know if a song sounds good or bad. And in the same way, you don't need to be an experienced builder to recognize when a build's block palette looks good or bad. There's no right or no wrong answers, just different tastes. With that out of the way, let's dive right in. Today we'll go through 3 different ways we can control colors: hue, saturation, and brightness. For each one, we're going to talk about how to balance harmony and contrast to fine-tune the effect colors have on your build. The hue of a color tells you if it's red or yellow or green, etc. In the same way you can combine notes into a chord, you can combine hues into a palette. The goal of step 1 is to do exactly that. Build a palette by picking a few different hues. There's a million ways to do it, but let's look at some examples. Colors that are close together on the color wheel work together in harmony. This can reinforce the effect we get from certain colors, like a fiery red, a lush green, or an icy blue. Colors that are further apart on the wheel contrast with each other. This adds visual interest and helps draw the eye, but you start to lose that mood and effect you get from an individual color. We're going to put together a palette of our own, but first let me quickly build that dragon egg replica and we'll go from there. And done! Okay, next to some of the impressive entries from our fellow meerkats, it's a little small. Don't worry though, we're going to be adding a few more accessories that I think are going to make us much more of a competitor. Coming back to the color wheel, the blocks we've used in the egg replica will tell us what hues we need to use in our palette. If you're ever unsure where to begin on your palettes, start with one of the natural colors from the biome you're building in. I'll also add a link in the description to an online color wheel tool in case you find it helpful matching colors and hues to Minecraft block textures. Now, if we place our block of crying obsidian here, you can see it matches this purple pretty well. So that'll be the first hue in our palette. Next, I want to add some contrast to my block palette. So I'm going to walk to the other side of the wheel and add whatever I find there, which is lime green. Cool. Finally, I'll add in some harmony. I'm going to pick one of our hues, in this case purple, and invite its neighbors to join the party. Okay, I'm pretty happy with our palette, so let's move on to step 2. Using our music analogy, picking vibrant, more saturated colors is like picking a louder note. If all the notes in your song are the same volume, your ear won't be able to pick out the main tune. And if all your colors are equally saturated, your eye can't work out what it's meant to focus on. For this step, you'll need to work out what's important in your build. You could pick things with physical importance, like the big central keep in a medieval city. But equally, you could pick things with figurative importance, like a tree that has a deep history in your build's lore. In our build today, the egg is the most important part. It's mostly black, but if we use some saturated purples around the egg, we can help bring out what little purple is in the crying obsidian and the glass panes we used. Therefore, we're going to keep these hues very saturated and vibrant. On the other side though, we need to desaturate the lime hues to help pull focus toward purple. After skimming through the block menu, I found a few blocks that fit this yellow-green hue, and I've arranged them from most to least saturated, going from melons to wet sponges, and finally to endstone. Now I know some of you might think of endstone as yellow instead of lime green, but let me quickly show you what happens when I crank up the saturation of its block texture. As you can see, there's quite a bit of green mixed in with it. Coming back to these blocks we've picked out, endstone is the clear winner. Not only is it less saturated, meaning it won't distract from our purple egg quite as much, but it also fits our build like a glove, since it's the most common block in the dragon's dimension. Plus, let's face it, we're playing in survival and I would seriously struggle to gather that many wet sponges. Alright, now I'm going to use the endstone to build a shrine around our egg, just to make it look a little more grand. We'll also incorporate some saturated red and purple hues through a couple of details, like this pink glass railing here. Okay, I'm happy with that, but we still need to add more to this build before we can call it done. Brightness is a measure of how light or dark a color is. In our music analogy, this is like moving notes to higher and lower octaves in order to help them stand out. Once again, all we need to do is balance contrast, which gives us crisp definition, with harmony, which helps us blend colors together. This makes brightness a super valuable property of color in the context of Minecraft. For starters, by playing with the brightness of blocks, we can smooth out jagged edges and emphasize the more intricate shapes. On top of that, we can also use this to expand on the limited number of textures in the game, because by blending blocks with the same brightness together, we can unlock brand new colors. Let's think about how to apply this to our egg design. We're gonna add a big eggshell around our shrine using all of these saturated purples we've got left. Here I've laid out some of our color blocks from lightest to darkest. Each individual color doesn't quite have enough to bridge us all the way from dark to light, but since these hues we picked back in step 1 harmonize with each other, we can get away with mixing and matching a little bit. Like this. This might still look a little blocky up close, but as we move away, we'll start to see that blending effect. Alright, as you can see, I've recreated the gradient here on the Meerkats world. But before I build our eggshell, I do just want to point out a couple things really quickly. The first is that I've added tons of black blocks over on this end. I did that because I'm hoping it gives our egg a sort of charred look. The next is a more general tip. As you can see with each color through the middle here, I've gone concrete, wool, concrete powder. Concrete, wool, concrete powder. That order of blocks will always take you from darkest to lightest for every single dye color we have in the game, except for white, where for some reason the wool is actually the brightest. Finally, down at this end, I just want to show you why I've bridged the gap between these light pinks and the white wool with quartz. If you look closely, you can actually see hints of both the white terracotta's color and the white wool's color inside the smooth quartz texture. Since there's already color blending going on within the block texture itself, it's an ideal block to use in red gradients. If we were building with blues or greens, I would use snow blocks instead, because they actually have a little bit of cyan hidden in them. Anyway, I'm getting a bit distracted, so it's probably about time to wrap a big eggshell around this shrine using our new gradient. Let's get to it! Seems like it's still missing something. Perfect. Alright, well, I'm happy with our... do I hear a zombie? Ah! I just took off my armor! No! Nice. Did someone just subscribe? Okay, where was I? Oh right, so I'm happy with our entry. I don't know if we'll win, but we're certainly a proper contender thanks to our block palette. I encourage you all to try playing with some of these concepts in your own builds. Just remember the #1 rule, which is to trust your own judgment. Speaking of judgment, we'll probably find out who won the egg competition by the next episode, but in the meantime, let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I genuinely don't know which one I'd pick, but one thing I will say is that I've spent all day building next to this chocolate sprinkles one, and it's genuinely made me hungry in real life. Oh, and before we close off, I want to thank you guys so much on your support on the previous video. I was not expected to get over 100 views in just my first week of being on YouTube. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as well, and if you did, please consider leaving a like. Alrighty, all there is left to do is admire our Easter egg one last time. But while we do that, I actually have one final question for you. Did you spot them all? Till next time!